How many times have you told yourself, I'll start learning English next week, next Monday, or even next year? Be honest. Maybe you thought that next year is the year that you become bilingual. But here's my take. Don't wait. Start now. This episode is all about breaking the patterns of procrastination, understanding the mindset of New Year's resolution, and learning why taking action always beats planning every single time. Let's talk about the New Year's resolution mindset. There's something about January the 1st that makes it magical, right? New opportunities, a fresh start, big goals. But the truth is, studies show that the majority of people abandon their resolutions by mid-February. And why is that? It's because we tend to focus too much on the idea of change rather than the actual steps to make it happen. So that I'll start on Monday or I'll start next year feels like real progress, but in reality, it's just delay. Let me tell you about my relationship with exercise. I'd always wanted to lead a more active lifestyle, but there was something stopping me. I always thought next month or next week I'll join the gym, but I never did. There was a moment when I realized that I had to take action and start doing some small activity to achieve that lifestyle that I wanted to have. So I started just going for walks, and it felt like I was having some real progress. The same applies to learning a language. Now, don't take me wrong. Planning is an essential part of any activity or any goal we want to achieve. But there is a big difference between planning and taking action. Planning feels like a productive thing to do, while taking action is what brings real results. Let's say that you decide to learn English next year. You'll spend probably the next few weeks looking for information about courses, downloading apps, or watching videos about studying techniques or tips. By the time January comes, you'll be exhausted just by planning, and all the excitement about learning the language is just gone. On the other hand, if you start now by taking small steps, you'll already have momentum when the new year arrives. Just keep in mind that the longer you wait, the more difficult it feels to start. Now, you might be wondering how mindset influences your ability to become bilingual. Many people think that becoming bilingual is all about talent or resources, but the truth is it's about mindset. If you believe you can only start when the conditions for learning are perfect, you'll keep waiting forever. When I started learning English, I didn't have all the resources that I wanted, but I focused on progress rather than perfection. So I used the resources I had, like conversations with my classmates, using the library that was available at university, and the books that my program required. The mindset shift here is pretty simple. Stop waiting for the right moment because it doesn't exist. So you need to start creating it. Every word you learn, every phrase you can speak, pronounce, every new experience you have with the language is a step closer to your goal. It's not about being fluent overnight, it's about progress and consistency. How do we break the pattern of procrastination? First, the first step is to acknowledge the fact that you are making excuses. Every time you think, I'll start next week, next month, tomorrow, anytime in the future, is an excuse you're telling yourself for not starting today. Before we move on, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to A Teacher's Diary. If you consider that you can take action with what I've said so far, remember to subscribe, like, and share this episode with those whom you think might need a little extra push to start their journey. Second, replace it with action. Now that you have identified what your excuses are, every time you think about them, replace them with another thought, a thought that makes you take action right at the moment. For example, if you say, I'll start learning English next month because the course starts next month, let's say, rather than that, you say, I'll watch today's episode of my favorite series in English, or I listened to this specific podcast in English today, or I just listened to a song in English today. Something that stops you from thinking that the future is the answer. Start taking action now. And the third is to focus on progress, not perfection. The same way you acknowledge you are making excuses for starting learning English, you need to acknowledge the progress you have made. Every small step you've taken so far to learn the language is valuable. It's not about the perfect pronunciation of a word, for example. It's the fact that you could use that word in a sentence or to communicate your idea. I challenge you to start now, not tomorrow, not next week, and definitely not next year. Pick one small thing you can do today, whether it's watching a video or learning a new phrase or practicing for 5 minutes. Then let me know how it goes. Comment on this episode with what you're doing to learn English today. Remember, the sooner you start, the sooner you'll see progress.